But first, we jump right in with now Aztec assistant and also former quarterback with the school. Our buddy Ryan Lindley joins us live. Ryan, thanks so much for coming on. How did the team? How did they handle Friday night? You know, what was the locker room like after the game?
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's an experienced group, and obviously they're disappointed in the way they came out and played. And you know, I think everybody on the team, everybody on the staff feels that way. I think when you have an opportunity to take down a really good team and a really good program like that, you want to execute and you want to take advantage of it. But you know, you can't cry over spilled milk. And I think the guys came in yesterday and were ready to move on and get the win this week.
Hey, Ryan, we were down on the field there pregame before the action got started, and I'm used to seeing you stand next to you, maybe snap a couple of balls pregame, and here we are wearing polo shirts. That was a different take. You look good in the coaching duds. How did you feel?
Oh, man, yeah. I said you look a little better, but yeah, I fill out the polos more than I used to, unfortunately. But
same here.
No, yeah, it was good. It was fun to kind of get the first game action and being up in the booth. It's obviously a little different view than you're used to when you're playing, but no, it was great, man. I think at the end of the day, we'll look back on it. I think it'll help everybody on this team get a lot better with some of the mistakes we made this weekend.
Ryan, what kind of coach are you going to be? Like, are you going to start walking bow-legged now and chewing gum and yelling at people? Like, what's the deal?
Yeah, I mean, I'm working on the belly. I know that's based on Hard Knocks. You want to get on it all over the internet. You get a big belly and you start yelling at everybody. So I'm going to start there with that. And my wife's not too happy about it, but you know that's another thing you got to learn about coaching. That kind of comes second. So you know, I don't know. I'm kind of filling that out, to be honest with you. It's kind of I'm at the moment where you're still a player a little bit, and you got to get that out of your system and just get into the mode of getting guys ready to play and doing the best you can of teaching guys the scheme and the system and getting them ready to go on the weekends.
You know, you have a situation like the secondary did against Stanford, where there's a star receiver who just is having the night of his life, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. He just seemed to catch every ball that was thrown his way. How do you look at the guys and what do you say to the guys after a performance like that from a receiver as talented as he is? There has to be a little bit of diminishment of confidence. As a coach now, what are you sharing with these players to sort of get them back on their feet?
Yeah, I mean, I think after this weekend, that's something I kind of realized is the parallel between playing quarterback and playing in the secondary is that you can't lose your confidence. You know, I mean, I think obviously it's not the game that some of the guys wanted to have on the back end, but that's a dang good receiver. I mean, you're gonna have a hard time finding guys that are better than 19 in the country. Now we got a guy coming in this week who's pretty good with Sacramento State, but so we got to bring our A game again this weekend. But I think at the end of the day, you take the corrections you can and you change the thing technique-wise with what they need to do and, you know, make those adjustments fundamentally. But besides that, you got to go out and you got to pack your bag and go back to work the next week. So hopefully we see that. You know, we get out to practices today and hopefully the guys bring the right attitude and get ready to get better.
Ryan Lindley joining us. Ryan, social media was not kind to Christian Chapman during the game, and I wonder what the coaching staff's perspective was. We know that San Diego State is not asking Christian to go out there and win football games, you know, on his shoulder. But at the same time, there are moments in each game where certain plays need to be made by him. What was your assessment of how he handled those situations?
You know, it really even, I mean, obviously being in the same building, but not being on that side of the ball, it's tough for me to say. Cause you know, I'm not in meetings. And I don't know the intricacies of what we're doing on the offensive side of the ball, but you know, I know just generally from having played the position and played it here at San Diego State. I mean, some nights it's not your night, and I think that's anywhere. And Rich knows that, playing on the offensive line. You know, anybody that's played long enough, you're going to have a couple bad games, and unfortunately, sometimes that's at the wrong time. You know, you like to have a bad game against a team where maybe everybody else can rally around you and help you get a W, but it just happened that, you know, it was at a bad time. And I think he's a guy that's played a lot of football, so, you know, knowing him, he's a confident kid. Hopefully, same thing with our defensive backs. Hopefully they all bounce back, and they've had enough experience and won other games that, you know, you look back and say, I know I can play better than that, and all it comes down to is attacking that next week in practice and getting it done.
Talking with Ryan Lindley on Mark and Rich. You know, Ryan, as a former Aztec great at quarterback, I mean, the sort of things that are occurring now are some of the records that you set, that Chapman's surpassing. So it's interesting that there's this intersection, you being a coach now, he being a player. Blaine Morgan's the quarterback coach. He's many years from his time playing quarterback. You played at this school. Has he tapped you to speak with the young quarterback and maybe talk to him about certain things over the preseason, even perhaps this week so far?
Yeah, no, I mean, you kind of hang out with the guys, and it's everybody being around. You see guys in the weight room and on the field. There's conversations that are had, but, like I said, a lot of those are just kind of having the right mindset. And I think that's a lot of it is bouncing back, and the season, wherever you stack, is going to have its ups and downs, and you just figure out a way to bounce back from it. And that's my biggest thing with Christian. I think he's a good kid, and you'll see him play a lot better ball than that. And like I said, I don't know a ton of what's going on. I know Coach Morgan coaches the heck out of those guys, and they'll be ready to play, and he takes as much pride in that as any of them. So they're going to be ready to go this week, and I think you'll see a lot better performance.
Ryan, Rocky Long has been very public with almost like his disappointment in himself with last year, because he talked about how he probably made too big a deal out of the Boise State game. He broke his own rule about just even keel, treating every single week the exact same. So I'm curious how he, in particular, handled this loss. What was the demeanor? How did he handle the guys?
No, I mean, he brings the same demeanor every week, and I think that's something that is something that you love about Coach Long, and I think that was the same this week. I don't think nothing was made about it last year, and at the end of the day, it's the truth. I mean, you got to go every week like it's a new week. The old cliche of going 1-0 this week, and I think that's our plan. We pick up where we left off, and we find what we can do to be more disciplined and play a little better and put out our best football for week 2, and then hopefully get back in the win column.
I got to ask you this question because a lot of people get really down after a loss, especially the way it happened. The game slipped away in the second half. Some mistakes were made, but I really like to bright side things. I always tend to concentrate on the positives I saw. From the coaching perspective, what did you see that you can build off of moving forward?
I mean, at the end of the day, you go back to it and you talk about a Heisman Trophy contender in the preseason, and he came close to. We almost kept him under a yard of rush. So I mean, that's something obviously you look positively on. I think the guys executed well up front. And those are some big boys they're playing against. So I think too on the offensive side of the ball, you look and like I said, I don't know a ton of what's going on over there, but you can just see the offensive line's making moves. I mean, they're moving guys off the ball, and that's what's known as a really tough team in a Power 5 conference. So I think if you look at that and say that our guys are tough enough and physical enough and talented enough to stick with those guys, and if we execute and play our game, I think we can play with anybody on any weekend. So I'm with you, and I think there's a heavy balance to that of finding positives and negatives, and obviously you got to correct the mistakes, but you also can't beat guys down and know that hey, you got to hop back into it, and you got another opportunity this weekend against a team, and it's your home opener, so you might as well put your best foot forward.
Ryan, great stuff. We really appreciate you taking the time on Labor Day. Thanks for doing it.
No problem. Anytime, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, Ryan Lindley, now assistant with the Aztecs, former quarterback there, with his thoughts on Christian Chapman and more.